Learning English doesn't have to be boring. When you listen to real stories, something magical happens. You learn without even noticing. In today's story, you'll hear English that feels alive, exciting, and full of feeling. If you're enjoying this, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell for daily stories just like this. The city was glowing. Everything was wet, and everything was shining. Neon signs lit up the dark buildings like giant, colorful lanterns. The streets of Tokyo were full of reflections. Pink, blue, red, green. The rain had stopped, but the ground was still covered in puddles, and they caught every flash of light like mirrors. Lena stood on the corner, looking around her with wide eyes. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just looked. It wasn't her first time in the city, but something about that rainy night made it feel brand new. She had no umbrella, no map, no plan. Just her coat, her boots, and the sound of water dripping from rooftops around her. The air smelled like warm concrete, sea salt, and electric wires. She began to walk. The lights above her buzzed softly, and each step she took made a small splash on the wet pavement. The streets weren't empty, but they felt quiet. Most people were inside. A few hurried past her, their coats pulled tight around them. Cars moved slowly, their headlights sliding across the ground like soft flashlights in the dark. She walked past a ramen shop with red paper lanterns. The steam inside fogged the windows. A man leaned over a bowl of soup, his face glowing from the light above him. Lena didn't stop. She just watched him for a second and kept walking. She passed a row of vending machines. They stood like tall robots, lined up and humming. The bright colors of the drinks behind the glass looked almost fake, too perfect, too smooth. Drops of rain rolled down the sides of the machines and landed on the ground with soft taps. She didn't buy anything. She just kept walking. Her boots made small, soft sounds with every step. Splash. Step. Splash. The noise felt rhythmic, like a slow, quiet song that only she could hear. She turned into a side street. This one was narrow, with walls rising high on either side. A single yellow light hung above a metal door. It flickered, then stayed on. A cat ran across the path and disappeared behind a garbage bin. The city felt alive, but not loud. Not rushing. It was like everything was breathing, slowly, carefully, beautifully. She paused near a small record shop. Inside, soft music was playing, something jazzy and old. Through the window, she could see rows of vinyl records and posters from decades ago. A man inside moved slowly behind the counter, organizing shelves. He didn't look up. He was in his own world, and she respected that. Lena didn't go in. She wasn't looking for anything. She was just moving. The lights above her made her feel like she was walking through a movie. Pink signs glowed with words she couldn't read. Blue arrows pointed toward places she didn't know. The city spoke its own language, and somehow she understood it, even without translation. It told her, "Keep walking." So she did. She passed a bookstore that looked closed. But a small lamp was on inside, and someone sat behind the window, reading. The reflection of the neon light covered the glass, mixing the words of the book with color. It looked unreal, like something from a painting. She passed a man selling umbrellas on the corner. He stood quietly under a plastic roof, his hands in his pockets. Rows of umbrellas hung behind him, clear ones, bright ones, some with flowers, some with stars. Rain dripped from the edge of the roof in steady beats. She didn't need one anymore. So she nodded once at the man and moved on. The farther she walked, the more the city opened to her. She came to a bridge that crossed over a canal. Water moved slowly below, catching the lights from the buildings above. The surface was broken now and then by a small drop of rain or a floating leaf. She stopped in the middle of the bridge and leaned on the railing. This was the moment she would remember. Not because something big happened, but because nothing had to. Because the wind was soft on her face. Because her hair stuck to her cheek. Because the city was louder and quieter than any place she had ever been. Because she didn't feel lost, even though she didn't know where she was. She stayed there for a long time. Watching. Breathing. Feeling everything. The sound of a train rolled across the city in the distance. Somewhere, a door slammed shut. A siren wailed for a second, then disappeared. These were not strange sounds. They were everyday sounds. But that night, they felt different. They felt like they belonged to her somehow. She looked down at her reflection in a puddle near her feet. Her face was blurred by the water and light. But it didn't matter. She knew who she was. And she knew she would never forget this walk. She turned around and headed back through the city. The streets had changed. More lights were on now. More people were out. A couple walked hand in hand under one umbrella. A group of students laughed near a food stand. Music played from a small speaker hanging above a cafe door. But the magic hadn't left. It had just spread. Everything shimmered. Everything glowed. Everything felt alive. Lena walked slower now, letting the energy of the night move through her. The rain was soft again, just a whisper in the air. It touched her skin and her hair, but she didn't care. She passed the same vending machines again. She stopped this time. Pressed a button. A soft click. A hum. A cold drink dropped into the tray. She took it, not even looking at what it was. She opened it, tasted it, and smiled. It was sweet and strange and perfect for that moment. Then she walked on. She didn't need anything else. No camera. No journal. No souvenir. The memory was already written in her. It was in the shine of the streets. In the buzz of the lights. In the rhythm of her footsteps. In the way the night held her like a secret. And that was enough. Without knowing it, you just experienced over 3,000 words of natural English, with real-world vocabulary, useful grammar, and smooth sentence structures. That's the magic of stories. They teach while they entertain. And we have a new one for you every single day. Tell us, have you ever walked through a city at night in the rain? What did it feel like? Leave a comment, and let's share the moment together. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and turn on notifications so you never miss a night like this.